Hello out there. Welcome to the College and Career Expo and Conference. I'm so excited that you're here. I can see you all entering this virtual space. We've got over 700 students across the region registered today, and we're going to be kicking off here in just a second. It is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome you. I'm Sue Kane. I serve as the North Central ESD's Director of STEM Initiatives and Strategic Partnerships, and Career Connected Learning is a passion of mine. And it's super, super awesome that you all are making time today to come and think about your future and the career plans that you have. Hopefully you've made a stop at the Expo and you're connecting with some of the professionals out there who are excited and waiting to meet you and greet you and help imagine what kinds of possibilities there might be for you. We have a special treat this morning because we're going to be welcoming Rigo Garcia as our opening keynote today. And I have to tell you just a personal anecdote about how I first met Rigo, because in his prior career life, and he'll tell you a little bit more about his journey here in just a second, but he was a completion coach for Wenatchee Valley College here in Wenatchee, and was there helping students to make sure that they were on track to earn that credential and the grades and everything that was representative of them. And we would frequently encounter each other in the hallways, seeing each other, waiting for students to connect with students, and had opportunities to have conversations with him. And what I know about Rigo is that everything you're going to see today is real and honest. And he's incredibly humble and has incredible integrity about the support that we give young people and the way that we empower them. And so it was an absolute no-brainer to reach out to Rigo and say, hey, we want to start the day right. We want to focus on the young people and their intentions for the day. And so Rigo's got just the right experiences to be able to connect with you. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to our keynote and welcome Rigo Garcia.
Thank you, Sue. First off, to all of you, thanks again for being here. I want to make sure that I throw out a couple of disclaimers. I've talked before, to students, in front of students, with students. This is the first time that I'm actually doing this on a remote basis. So on my screen, I can only see myself. So I'm the kind of person that I kind of feed off of other people's energy. And so that's very, very difficult. I'm going to challenge you a little bit to do something to sort of just help me, kind of feel like that's happening. I'm going to challenge you to stay connected today. Stay connected to all of the events that you're going to be encountering today. Stay present. It's so easy to get distracted right now, especially, because we can't see you, or at least I can't, to get on your phone, to text behind the scenes, to message other people, things of that nature. Stay present is my challenge to you, not just during my, kind of talk, but throughout the rest of these workshops, because one of the things that I can tell you experiences, there's been certain events, certain times where I still remember events that I've attended. And I hope that this is one of those events for you. With that said, I have a few minutes with you, and I was pondering whether to sort of just write something out and then sit here and literally read it to you. But that's not necessarily how I roll. As Sue said, I try to do my best to talk from my heart, and I just want to take you back a little bit through my journey. Before I take you backwards, I just want to let you know where I'm at right now. This past summer, I was fortunate to not just graduate from law school, but to pass this ginormous exam that they call the bar exam. And once you pass that exam, you are able to be licensed as an attorney. So I'm super stoked. But I want you to know that getting to that place was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done. And so with that, I'm gonna take you back in time a little bit. I grew up, I was born actually in California, all right? So I was born in the United States. I was born in San Jose, California, the Bay Area. I obviously I don't remember because I was a baby, but I was transplanted from the United States down to Mexico, and so for me, learning Spanish was the first thing that I ever encountered. Spanish is my native language. Mexico was what I knew up until I was transplanted again and brought back to the United States, and in particular ended up in a city called Compton, California. Some of you might be familiar with Compton. There's a lot of rap and stuff like that that talks about Compton, California. But I want to take you. I'm taking you through this journey because I understand that some of you either have experienced maybe worse things than I have, or at some point you might experience things that you're gonna maybe feel like this is it. Like I can't overcome this, and I want you to know that yes, you can. All right. I don't know you. I don't know the things that you're gonna encounter, but I can tell you that if you work hard, you will survive. My parents, though, unfortunately, shortly after we got to the United States, my parents separated, and that was one of those events that changed my life because I have other siblings. My mom was going to stay with all of us, all the siblings, and I remember I was about 7, maybe 8, and I remember my dad coming up to me, really sad, saying that he was going to roll out, and I, at that tender age, I didn't know what was happening, but I knew that it didn't seem fair. I knew that it wasn't fair that I was removed from Mexico, where everything seemed to me to be safe, brought to this country that I had never encountered, not even understanding cartoons because I didn't know how to speak English, and then all of a sudden being told that hey, we're splitting up and we're leaving. I decided to leave with my dad. That decision was not necessarily the best decision, but it's something that I learned from. At the hands of my dad, I experienced a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse, and I would argue just this relentless effort to try to just beat me into submission, right? To have me think a certain way, and I refused. I refused. One example, and I'll share this one with you because this was sort of what ultimately culminated in me leaving my father. I remember he used to sell things on the streets, like not drugs. All right, let me get that on the record. At least not that I knew of. But he would sell like fruit, ice creams, things like that in California. A lot of people kind of do that. And I remember he said, "Hey, there's a pot of corn that's outside boiling or cooking in an hour or whatever, take that off because that's what I'm going to be doing in the afternoon shift when I go sell, right? He's going to sell corn." Man, I got caught up on the cartoons. I'm not going to lie to you. I got caught up on the cartoons. I totally forgot about the corn. Corn burned. He showed up. And as soon as I heard his truck pulling up, I was like, oh no, like this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. He was upset. He was furious. I was terrified. I was terrified because I knew that from 1 second to the next, he can get physical. But I mustered up the courage to say that I wasn't afraid and that I wasn't going to take it anymore. And I I was afraid. I'm not lying to you. I was afraid. He reached over and reached over and grabbed this extension cord and he just started beating me with it. It was one of those things where like it was like in slow motion. I couldn't believe that it was actually happening. I reached out, I grabbed this extension cord, and I don't know, adrenaline maybe kicked in where I just didn't let go of it because I knew that if I let go of it, I might not make it. And he was furious. He dropped it. He took off. And after that, I called one of my sisters and I was like, man, if you guys want to like, see me again, you need to come and get me. They went to get me. And that was one of the last times I saw my dad. I left with my mom, and this was pretty much the beginning of sixth grade. And one of the things that I was debating about how much do I talk about certain things is just the experience that I went through in sixth grade. I was in Compton, California. I was in sixth grade. And at that point in my life, I didn't go to school. I ditched every single day that I possibly could. It was more important for me to hang out with my friends, hang out in the street, than go to school. After all, what was school going to do for me anyway? How was school going to save me from the abuse that I've experienced on my father's hands? How was school going to project me to a better place? I couldn't see it because I was too young. And I thought hanging out with my homies was the most important thing I could possibly do. My mom started kind of catching on that that was happening. And one summer she just said, or that summer she said, "Hey, why don't you go visit your brothers in Washington?" I had never heard of Washington, much less Wenatchee. I was adamantly against it, but my mom was like, "Look, if you go over there, we'll get you a plane ticket. You'll come back, and then you'll start seventh grade here." And I was like, "All right, cool." Two of my bestest friends in sixth grade, and I have to sort of bring them up because I think they're important. We made a deal. We made a deal where we said that once I got back from Washington, that we would get jumped in. Essentially, for some of you if you don't know, an initiation ritual when you get into a gang is for a few other gang members to beat you up. It sounds really dumb when I like think about it now, but that was my goal. My mom did not let me go back. It was all this orchestrated trick to send me to Washington, take me out of Compton, California, and see if I can like regain some traction. Those two friends, one of them ended up joining the gang, and he ended up killing somebody. And last I heard, he's doing life in a state penitentiary in California. The other one, he just has several kids. I just have one kid, but can't imagine having several kids struggling to make ends meet. That's the life of my two friends, right? But the point that I'm trying to make here is that somewhere along that spectrum, that could have been me. And moving to Wenatchee, my mom making that decision, as painful as it was, saved my life. I wish that I could tell you that when I moved to Wenatchee, everything was good, everything was great. It wasn't. I've made a lot of mistakes. I got expelled from school. I got suspended from school for fighting, for graffiti, for so many other things. There was a time in my like kind of mindset that I actually thought that was the way, like that was the best way. Um, but one of the things that made a tremendous amount of difference, and it's one of the things that I want to really, really emphasize to you, are mentors, people that saw beyond my dumb choices and continued to believe in me, continued to be by my side. I can think of one. I think of several, but I want to just let you know that I remember one, and I still talk to her to this day, seventh grade, when I got here from Wenatchee. They gave me some standardized testing. I didn't really pay much attention to it, and by no means am I, the sharpest pencil in the box or brilliant or anything like that. But she saw my test scores and she was like, "Dude, like you have potential." And ever since then, she never stopped reminding me of that, even when I doubted myself. Because I'm gonna be real with you, doubt is a terrible thing. Um, you're gonna doubt yourself as you're going on this journey called life, but believe in yourself. Believe that even if you doubt whether you can do something, just go ahead and try it and see what happens. To this day, she still believes in me. I have another mentor that made me when I was 16. I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now, but let's just say he's known me for over 20 years. And to this day, we still are friends. And even on my downest, darkest times, he was still there. I remember one of the times I got into like some pretty serious trouble, and I called him. I'll never forget this. I called him and I was like, "Dude, like I'm in trouble. I need your help. My gosh, I'm in this hole." And he said, "How did you get there?" And I was like, "Well, I did this and I did this and I did this." He goes, "Sounds like I didn't do anything. Sounds like you did all of that. So get yourself out of it. See you later." Hung up. I thought to myself, what kind of a mentor is this? Um, but that moment, I still remember it because at that moment I realized he's absolutely right. I got myself into this position. I got to get myself out of it. Law school. I mentioned to you law school, and Sue mentioned, working at Wenatchee Valley College. I ran into a supervisor there, and I shared with her my dream. And this one just goes to show how important it is for you, all of you that are on this platform right now. Your dreams, no one can take those from you. They're yours, and you need to make sure that You try to write them down. You tell people about them, because when you start putting them out into the universe, I'm a firm believer that all of a sudden things start to happen. I shared with this boss of mine at Wenatchee Valley College that I wanted to go to law school. That ever since I was really little, I used to watch TV, and I was like, my gosh, they dress so good. They go into court and they're like, yes, that's Hollywood, obviously, right? Where in 35 minutes they crack a case. And so I thought that was fascinating. And when I shared that with her, you would think that because I was working for her, she might say, no, we need you working doing this. She started pressuring me, peer pressuring me in a good way to go and explore that, because I verbalized that dream. I did that. And here I am, right? And so it's very powerful when you do that. Find those people in your life is what I would recommend to you. Find those people. You probably have those right now. For some of you, you might have parents that you consider that. Others, you might think, no, I'm way too cool, can't share too much with my parents. I get you as well. But find those people for you. And right now you're young, but along the way you'll have hopefully plenty of opportunities where you will run into mentors that you can connect with, people that can help you. Because if you think right now, like, I'm Superman, I can do everything, I don't need any help, man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Kudos to you if you think you can, get there solely on your own. Great. But for I'm going to say, for most of us, including myself, having those people to support me is really, really important. And the other thing I want to share with you too is that my journey to get to law school has not been a straight line. I don't know all the grades that you are in. I'm assuming, your high school. And so you might consider, I might go to college, or I might go to a trade school, I might go do these other things. But understand that the pathway is not necessarily the same for everyone. For some of us, it takes longer. For some of us, that pathway is full of dead ends where you have to back out and regroup and get going again. It took me a very, very long time for me to get to the point where I'm at now. A lot of tears, a lot of pain, and a lot of problems, right? Even when I was with my dad, certain things that like I never really thought about. I was homeless when I was with my dad. I just didn't know it because he was very good at like making sure that like I knew very little, right? I wish I could sit here and tell you that my dad taught me all kinds of things, but he didn't. A lot of the things the way that I operate, I tend to do the opposite of what my father would have done, sadly. But I was homeless. We used to stay in cars. We used to, in California, when people remodel a house and the house is empty, you can't leave the house alone. You have to have someone guarding the house. Otherwise, people break in and take all the new stuff that's there. And so we would sleep in those houses as well. And again, it's these are the things that I took for granted, right? Like having a house, having food, having shelter. And so for me, there's a lot of things outside of academics that I've struggled with. Academically, I'm going to share this with you, and I'm an open book when it comes to it. I told you I spoke Spanish to begin, right? I came to this nation as a United States citizen, not knowing how to speak a word of English. Even worse, I did not know how to read. I did not know. All I knew was how to speak Spanish, but I did not know how to read Spanish. I did not know how to spell in Spanish, much less in English. It wasn't until about third grade when one of my teachers noticed that I was trying to hide it. I was trying to hide it. I was trying to hide it because I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I didn't know how to articulate anything. I was ashamed that I didn't know how to ask for help. I was ashamed because sometimes we, and I say we as in like your peers, could be really mean, and other kids were super super mean, right? Because I didn't know how to speak English. But this teacher basically was like, you know what, we're gonna put Rigo, and we're gonna have this other person help, and it's just gonna be like a little breakout session or something, so it's not like obvious that it's Rigo. And started teaching me how to read in third grade. And so to sit here today, with a law degree, passing the bar, but not knowing a word of English when I first got here, not knowing how to read, how to write. I taught myself how to read in Spanish. I taught myself how to write in Spanish because I was like, man, I can't just operate like this, right? And so again, there's a lot of things that you might be going through, but my point here today is this: if you can see me and be inspired to go and do great things, then I feel like I've done my job. I was reading over the information on this presentation, and there's a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff, and so take advantage of it. Take advantage of the fact that you have these opportunities before you. Aside from the Spanish thing, another thing I want to just tell you is, how important continuity is. Stay within that routine. Figure out healthy routines for you. For me, when I was a little kid, I went to like 4 or 5 different elementary schools. It was very, very difficult for me to make friends because I was fearful that just when I made friends, then I was going to be snatched away from that school and I was going to end up somewhere else. Um, a lot of these things ultimately culminated with me getting to adulthood, but then having so many problems that I had to work through because I didn't have a healthy relationship with my father, because I really never really lived with my mother. And I was out here as a teenager and when actually trying to figure things out on my own in a way. And so I started getting into a lot of trouble. I wish, like I told you earlier, that getting to Wenatchee like saved me, but no, I found gangs here. I found a way to get into problems here. I idolized some of my friends that were in a gang and that were in a gang for a longer period of time. I thought that was the way. I would see people with like nice cars or whatever, and I was like, I want that. And as I've gotten older, I realized that those are just material things. The one thing that no one could take away from me is what I've done for myself as far as my education, right? And that's my challenge to you. Do you want whatever it is that you're dreaming about? It's up to you if you're going to go get it. I have a daughter, and you can't imagine just how annoying I am, at least how annoying she probably thinks I am. But I'm always on her about reading. I'm always on her about doing her homework. I'm always on her about like figuring out a routine that works for her. And when I hear that my daughter's really doing really well, like in English, I share with her. I'm like, my God, like you're a young kid, and you're miles ahead of where I was because of the annoyance of us, right? Her parents. And so listen to your parents. I'm not sitting here necessarily. This is not a message for to help your parents out. But if you have good parents, man, like really, really lean on them and take advantage of that. And understand that you're gonna make some mistakes, and that's okay. You're gonna go around as you engage this world, and you might upset some people. Some people might upset you. That's okay. I think the important thing is for you to figure out, how do you work through conflict? How do you continue to push forward so that you continue to check off things on that journey that you want, that on that journey that you're on? Because if you don't do that, you're going to be focusing more on what other people are doing and what other people have, and then you're going to want that, right? Oh, they have this many followers, I want that. Oh, they have this kind of car, I want that. Oh, they have this kind of clothes, I want that. Meanwhile, this is another thing that I tell my daughter all the time: the young people that are actually doing their thing and they're actually putting in the time with studying are the people that are going to end up having the jobs and being the bosses. And then the people that are not, the people that are focused on how many followers and clothes and all of that they have, those are the people that are going to be hitting them up maybe and saying, hey, can I have a job? I need to buy more clothes, or I need to this, or I need to that, right? And you lose focus. The other thing is, you end up looking for things that you think you're missing. For me, one of the reasons why I gravitated so much to gangs was because I needed to feel like like somebody appreciated me. I needed to feel like I had a family. And it was the most difficult thing because I realized that that wasn't the case. My friends were my friends, but the moment that things got heated, the moment that say police got involved, or things really got out of hand, then all of a sudden my friends were gone. And I realized that if I was going to make it happen, it was going to be me that was going to make it happen. And so I went for it. I went for it. After years of being out of school, I told myself, I want to get a law degree. I want to practice law. I want to try to help people in a different way. And I'm going to go get it. And I did that. Fortunately, I'm still alive. And so, again, I don't know whether I'm being I don't know the impact that I'm having right now on you because I can just see myself on the screen. So I kind of feel like, am I talking to myself? I hope you're still there. I hope you're still connected. And I hope that you take a couple of the things that I've said and that you realize, wait a minute, Rigo was homeless, abused by his dad, in gangs, in trouble with the law, expelled, all of these other things. And somehow he still was able to achieve obtaining an education. I have not been in all of those situations. So don't go out and mess up and say, let me see how bad I can make things for myself so then I can overcome things. Don't do that. All right, that's the wrong thing. I don't want you to like necessarily go out there and start getting into trouble because you think, well, it's fine. Rigo was able to make it, so I can get into no. Overcoming all of my mistakes has been extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. I have not been able to get jobs because of some of the mistakes I've made in the past. I have to provide extra explanations to people whenever I'm trying to do something. Oh, here's this application. We need you to answer this other questionnaire over here because we want to know more. Or we're going to give you another interview because we have some further questions. It leads to that, right? Don't be in that position. Don't be in that position. Take advantage of what you have right now. Take advantage of the fact that you're in this platform. You're going to learn about interviewing. You're going to learn about resumes. You're going to learn about so many things. Pay attention and take some notes. All right. I can talk to you forever, but I know that our time is limited. And I know that I read something that we wanted to save some time for questions. And so, you don't have to have any questions, but if you do, I'd be happy to answer them as best I can. I see Sue popped up on the screen, so I'm taking my cue, and I'll stop talking now.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your journey. And I know I'm not alone. You couldn't see everybody, but it's really inspiring to see the transformation that you've made in your life and the purpose that you're finding. And I'm so excited for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think we did have one question pop in there about, if you've stayed connected to those people who were part of your younger self when you were in California.
If I stayed connected?
Yeah.
No. It's, I was 12, 13 years old. It was very difficult to stay connected. And so what I did is I went back and visited, a year later, I believe, and I ran into one of my friends and, we talked and everything. And then later on, like I came back to Washington, and then I found out about my other friend ended up, in prison. And so I really have not. I just know because we had other common friends. But one of the things that I kind of thought about was, what can I do for my friend that is locked up doing life? I don't know. I thought about maybe going to visit him, but I just don't know. The other friend, I was like, what kind of a relationship could I have with him when his mindset is like sort of pointing in a different direction than where my mindset is? And so we drifted apart. Sadly, that happens. Some of you on this platform might think that the friends that you have now will be the friends you'll have for forever. You might drift apart from some of them, and that happened in my case.
Well, I'm sure there are other questions or comments. That's the only one that popped through in the chat, but and I think we've got to be able to wrap up and send folks over to another session. If you are going to join some of the other conference sessions, you now have a choice. You will exit out of this booth, and you can head to the Confluence stage to learn about Financial Aid 101 in this next 20-minute session, or the Apple STEM stage with a session about how to promote yourself. And so you now have a choice. You can head over to either one of those live broadcasts and then join me back here in just a bit, where we'll be talking about the digital footprint, or your digital footprint. But again, I want to take another minute to just loop back and thank Rigo for coming and for being vulnerable and sharing with us a little bit about his journey and his story. And we can stick around for a couple minutes in the chat if you do have questions, we can address that. But thank you.
I see another question on there about what type of law. That's a great question, actually. Even though you're like, well, like you could just pick one. I used to actually think that a lawyer could just know every law. every type of law. And then I was disappointed, I guess, because it's very, very difficult. So as an attorney, you can generally know the law, but most attorneys, I would argue, specialize in a certain area of the law. Right now, through my job, I am practicing family law. So family law is very difficult because you're encountering people at one of their lowest points, right? They are going through a breakup, or there's a kid involved and these parents are fighting over this kid, and it's like, we can't chop off the kid in half. How do we make things work? And that's what I'm engaged in right now. As we move forward, I am not sure. One of the other areas of law that I'm really, really interested in is personal injury. I love the idea of taking on a challenge, and if I don't win, then I don't charge my client anything. But if I win, then we both win. I like that idea, but right now it's family law primarily. I think that was a question I saw in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're getting lots of love too. Lots of
Oh, I have to,
affirmations. Really great information today.
yeah, I have to keep on clicking because it says comment pops up. No, just thank you once again, all of you. I hope you stay connected. And Sue knows how to get a hold of me. If ever you have other questions, feel free. I wish that I was more, structured in how I delivered. I didn't want to necessarily dive into one aspect of my life and camp there. So I tried to just give you a kind of like an overview of how I've gotten to this point. But thank you so much for your time, and again, best of luck as you continue to move forward with your journey.